Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. And it's about time I came back. I hear you say. Yes, I know I haven't been a stickler, but I have been putting on loads of short posts which people have been liking, so you know I'm still there middling in the background. But anyway, we are back with Married at First Sight UK. We are back with series 10 and we will be getting into episode 1. But before I get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know I'm on and doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. And people just like that, we are back. We are back into the melee. We are back at looking at new people who wish to get married, who wish to change the way that in which they pick people, who wish to change the types that they go for, but don't necessarily want the person that's been picked for them, because they will literally always continue to have their type in their head. But we will get to why I've said that very, very soon. Okay, so we see it's the meet up with the brides for the hen do, and it's the meet up with the guys for the stag do. I think when it comes to these kinds of meetups, it usually shows the attitude of people more. And more so often when the men get together, because you know it becomes a group chat with the men. Yeah, as we remember from Married at First Sight Australia with Elliot, and the shit that he said within his stag do was like, you know, my god, an eye-opener, let's put it that way. So we first see Nellie, who's an Asian woman, and Sarah go in, and then on the men's side you see Ashley and Dean. So everyone is literally like on it right about now. We know that there's going to be 18 grooms and 18 brides to be. Sarah basically from jump has said that she likes a bad boy with tattoos, and basically said that they could look like they come from jail. That's the type of man she likes. She likes the toxic type of man though as well, let's just put it that way. So if we remember Jamie from Mass Australia, when she said she wanted a man that looked like a lifer, well, we have another one in Sarah. We had another one in Sarah, and this is what I mean. With Sarah, it is literally about the looks. It is about the looks first and foremost, but her usual type hasn't always worked out for her at the end of the day. So then as she's talking, as they do, in walks Joe into the stag do, and he's a tall man with tattoos. So I'm thinking, oh, would she be paired with him? But I don't think she will, because at the end of the day, the experts will want to draw her away from the type that she normally goes for at the end of the day. So Joe is basically talking about how he's always judged by the way he looks, but he has a big soft heart. So then we see Grace, who's walking in, and she looks like she's got her shit together. That's what she looks like to me. But she also looks like she's very desperate to get married, because she's saying that, you know, she's 30 now and she's like, time's ticking, where's this person for me, basically. So she's talking about how she's tired of the modern dating and she wants to be married and would do anything to have it, because she believes that there's, like, you know, that one kind of love out there. And I always ask myself, is there specifically that one kind of love? Because I don't know. I mean, I love, and I love hard, and I am in love, but how do you know it's the one of a kind type of love? That's something for you to think about. You can put your answers in the comments if you want to on what your perception is of one of a kind love. So then we see Bailey, and he basically say he's a front runner and he's super confident. He's giving off arrogance already. That's how it comes across to me. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and Bailey is already giving off arrogance to me. So then we have Dean, who basically talks about when it comes to his vows, he's gonna freestyle rap. I was like, mate, don't do that, because if you flop, because no, who goes and freestyle raps with their wedding vows? You don't mess about like that. I will feel secondhand embarrassment if he does that and it completely flops or turns his bride off. Let me just put it that way, because yeah, you need to play these types of things by ear at the end of the day. So Joe and one of the other lads, being themselves, I think it was Ashley at the time, turned around and said, okay, here we go. And Joe began to do a little beatbox. And as it was, Dean began to beatbox the vows that he would be saying. Yeah, secondhand embarrassment. Secondhand embarrassment. And this is what happens when people around you are not honest with you at the end of the day, because even though Ashley and Joel were egging him on, to the camera they were like, yeah, nah, I don't think he should do that at the end of the day with the vows. He's a brave man, but yeah, he shouldn't do it. Did they tell that man not to do that shit? No. So Dean's bride is going to have a shock coming to her come hell or high water at the end of the day. So then we get introduced to Anita, who is 54. And of course, we always have to have the mature bride of the group and the mature groom of the group. So basically, she was telling the group that, you know, her granddaughter had saw her wedding dress and was asking questions as to why she got this wedding dress hanging up. So the more we get to know Anita and we see little sparks of her, this girl is a biker woman and she's a fire eater as well. I was like, damn, you go girl. You go girl. And I'm hoping they put her with someone who will appreciate the energy that she gives and actually meet her level of energy too, man, and not some dope ass idiot at the end of the day. So then we see Leah walking. Leah walks into the stag do basically because she is going to be part of a lesbian couple. She's also desperate, as she said in her words, to meet a person to fall in love with. And I'm kind of like, at this point you have to ask yourself, is it desperation that's leading the way with some of them? Because if the answer is yes, then the question is, what are you willing to do to keep a facade if you're not matching very well with that person? Do you know what I mean? Because we've seen how it can literally fall apart when you're not matching well with that person, but you continue to press on and press on and press on, which makes matters worse. So basically Leah is a bisexual woman, and I love that because, you know what, I could relate because I'm a bisexual woman myself, proudly so, I might add. Okay, so she was asked basically who she wanted to marry, and she wanted to marry a girl. She spoke to the group stating that, you know, she'd been with men until she was 25 years old, and you can really see Joe within that group taking the measure of this woman, because I think he literally does fancy her. Like when she walked in, Joe was like, yeah, she's like, to the cameras, like, she's quite pretty, she's da 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 da. So I'm thinking that Leah is kind of like Joe's type. So he looks like already that he wants to forego his marriage and take Leah at the end of the day, because he was looking at her intently and he was asking certain questions, like especially when he asked this one. This is where you can say that it was rather telling why he asked this question, because men tend to ask these questions all the time just to see where their standing is, you know what. So Joe basically asked her, is it definitely a no for men? And she said, I would never say never. And I thought, Miss Leah, no, you're getting married, so it is a never at this stage. Yeah, because I'm like, even though they're getting married and they're saying these vows, at the end of the day, even though it's on a program, you should still take it seriously. Yeah, because that's what they're there for, ain't it? So Joe asked her, like, have you ever been in love before? And she did say yes. And this is where Dean comes in. Well, he said that he's been in love but never been loved. And I have to say that when he was talking about himself, it was kind of sad, to be honest with you. And we've seen it happen on this show numerous times. Someone will fall in love with the other person, but the other person is not truly feeling them, and in the end they will end up getting hurt. We've seen it in the previous Married at First Sight UK, and we also saw it between Thomas and Roz, where she literally tried but then still was not feeling him, even though she then took the plunge and had a sexual relationship with him. She knew she shouldn't have done that because she was not feeling him, and in the end Thomas got very, very hurt. So I think Dean is the type of person who will give it his all because he truly, well and truly wants to connect with someone and be loved. Sometimes I think people may need to go to therapy than coming on a show like this, especially if they're not strong enough to withstand what some of these people can bring their way, because if you can't, you are not going to make it. Yeah. So he basically was explaining that he was with a girl who had the audacity to say to him that he was too fat. I was like, mate, that would have been instant dismissal from me. as I said, therapy around that situation would work best for him. So you see David, and he walks in. He is Portuguese Frenchman, and he's on the hen side, so his groom is on the men's side, so we have a gay couple as well. And then in walks Rebecca, who she says that, you know, she's a strong and fierce woman, basically. And I'm like, well, I hope that stays with you through this process, and you're not too harsh on the person that you will potentially be paired with, because I'm telling you, I can see this program, this series is going to be brutal for people, like, seriously. So they talk about who has children, and Anita does have older children because she has grandchildren, and Maeve is talking about, like, she has a little boy and he's 10 years old. And I'm kind of like, right, whoever they match to this girl, they need to ensure that this person does not mind their bride having a child, yeah, who belongs to somebody else. Okay, because Maeve is not going to have to just think about herself. She's going to have to think about her child too, and how this person is going to integrate within their life, especially her child's life. Because she can't just roll in there and go home and say, look, here's your new daddy. Do you know what I mean? Because her child's going to have to be introduced to this person at some point. They're going to have to get to know this person at some point. So for Maeve, when it comes to situations like this, yes, I understand that, you know what, all single mothers should be able to find love too, but I don't know if these types of reality TV shows, especially when it comes to Married at First Sight, is the best for people who have young children at the end of the day. So we see Lee, and she says that she's a lesbian, so more than likely she's going to be paired with Leah. And they seem similar, is my thing. So Lee talks about how she didn't really have a coming out story. She was 15, she came out to her mum, and mum accepted her. My first thoughts would be, is what would Lee's stances be on bisexuality? Because I know some lesbians or some gay men don't like that. Like, they really don't like that, because they have a perception in terms of what being bisexual means, thinking like you've got the best of both worlds, so you can keep going here, there and everywhere and choosing what you want. And it's not like that in the slightest. So then we hear from David, who said his father kicked him out after he came out. And I was like, oh, well, that's a shame at the end of the day, because all you want is your parents' acceptance. But he says that during that period of time, he has slowly rebuilt his relationship with his dad, and he does talk about how he loves his dad and how his dad loved him. But he did say, mentioned that his mum would not be coming to the wedding. So he says that he will FaceTime his mum just to be able to speak to her for a wedding, so she can settle him and give him any advice that he needs to. We then hear that he was engaged previously for 2 years. He wanted the whole hog family, the lot, everything, but found that him and his partner at that stage were not on the same page. So then we see Paul, who is 60, and he walks into the slags. So this man sits there thinking he's coming there dropping gems to the younger masses them. Do you know what I mean? So he's basically telling them, when you get to a certain age, sexual attraction is not number one, and it will grow. I thought, man, you gotta find something about the person that you partnered up with being hot at the end of the day. Because, like, something I don't agree with Paul, he's talking more about companionship than anything else. And to be honest, your wife ain't gonna be your pet. Well, unless you want her to be. And if you know, you know. Quickly moving on. So he basically said that he was married 7 years before, but didn't really go into the ins and outs of why that did not work out for him. So then we have Kia walking, beautiful man, beautiful black guy, and then in walks Julia Ruth, and she is a beautiful black woman. I ain't gonna lie, they always seem to roll out the token black girl within these programs. So we'll see what happens with that. So Julia Ruth is saying that she's originally from New Zealand, although to me she sounded Scottish. I honestly believe she was a Scot, but she's not. She's from New Zealand. So Julia Ruth did ask, like, the hens, like, if anyone was going to, you know, do the do. Lee basically said that she will play it by ear. I says, at the end of the day, even though these people have been matched with other people, they're going to go down the aisle with them and literally see them for that first time ever, they're still virtual strangers to one another. So I would not be opening up my joy box until I got to know them properly, because sex muddies the water from the offset, and we've seen it time and time again where people get that initial sexual chemistry, sexual attraction, literally go gung-ho, and then everything else just seems to fall apart. So I don't think they should give away that part of themselves yet, unless they can get deep and vulnerable with the person that they're with, and vice versa at the end of the day, because you want to find someone where you getting married lasts beyond this show at the end of the day, because just putting a ring on a finger, that ain't it. The work begins after that at the end of the day. So David was right when he said, no, if I give my emotional and physical first, then there's nothing left for me to give. So he wishes to know the person that he's with first. Lee turned around and said to him, how ungay of you. I thought, mate, that was a stereotype right there. So we shall continue. And then in comes the stereotype of, like, you know, gender roles, basically, specifically. Because I think it was Nelly who said all she wants is someone who can take out the bins because she can't do it herself. I was like, dude, really? Like, really? So David said the solution is blue jobs are for the boys and pink for the girls. I was like, please, can this get any more baser level? For real, for real. So he basically said that he had to do the laundry and did the dishes when he was with his partner, and he considered them to be girls' jobs. I was stunned. Like, literally stunned, because I was sitting there like, mate, what the hell are you saying? It was Grace who literally piped up and said, why are they considered girls' jobs? One word: patriarchy, love. Patriarchy. Did that. So she said, let's be keeping it more feminist and keep it equal. And Julia Ruth said, well, it can be 50-50. Like, if someone is cooking and the other person can clean. And I said, to be fair, that's not bad at the end of the day. If you see something that needs to be done, then just do it. Yeah, you don't have to wait for a person to be doing something to be able to then go and do something that they're not doing. Just do it. And no role is gender specified at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So we meet a gorgeous black man named Devani, and he was gorgeous. I ain't gonna lie, he was gorgeous. And then after him, in walks Stephen. Stephen sits there and says, like, he doesn't like neediness. He says it's a complete turn off for him. And I kind of get it, to be fair, I ain't gonna lie. And Kia said his big red flag is a man that works in finance. It was Stephen. I was like, damn. But then saying that, Kia works in finance too, so I didn't get that one at all. So Sarah talks about who will be walking her down the aisle, which is her dad, but she talked about how her mum had passed when she was 22. And her mum had passed due to alcoholism. And when she talks about how she felt about that, she does get very emotionally upset and basically does say it was hard not having her there. But Sarah overall is definitely a bubbly soul, but I think she uses her bubbliness to cover up a multitude of vulnerabilities and to cover up what she doesn't necessarily want to say but needs to say. So you see the experts, who are Mel, Charlene and Paul, and they enter the hen and the stag do's to give sage advice to them before they get married. I understand that they say, like, for many months they specifically sat there and matched them to the person that they believe is the perfect partner for them, but in all honesty, it's them, from their perception, that they believe is a perfect partner for the people that they've had applied to the show. So it's literally somebody else matching you up with someone else, as we already know, so they can get it wrong too at the end of the day. But my thing is will they be able to call out red flags and signs of abuse quicker than in each and all the other series that it's happened in? Because there hasn't been a series that I've watched, Australian or UK one, where red flags have been shown and they've not pulled it out quicker, where signs of abuse have been shown, especially around emotional manipulation and mental manipulation, and have not pulled it out quicker or called it out quicker, in my view. So we fully meet Sarah. She talks about, like, she's loud and unapologetically her, which she is. She definitely is. She talks about the fact that she's a bit of a party girl. So I'm like, how does that then equate to marriage? Her usual type of guy, she said, is a walking red flag. when people say this, I'm like, what do you mean? Because it ain't good for your health or your equilibrium at the end of the day to literally be going out with toxic men. It literally is not good for you. So she says that, you know, she picks a guy who literally it will all start off sunshine and roses at the beginning, and then literally dwindle. So basically she picks a lot of assholes, but she likes them because they're aesthetically pleasing to her. Even her dad and her friends tell her like her picks have been piss poor at the end of the day, and her dad don't approve of the previous relationships she's had, and he even says like she's been through the ringer with these men. And Sarah herself does talk about how one of her exes was quite controlling. She ended up in a quite abusive relationship, and this still hurts her. And so she took time to get back to herself. And I kind of wonder, well, did you enter into therapy around her experiences of abuse at the end of the day? Because she needs to get past the looks and be ready for the guy that she's asking for. That's the actual real question, because I don't think she is going to be ready for that guy at all, because she hasn't done the groundwork on herself, I don't believe. So she's matched with Dean. So she wants to be open-minded and wants to settle down with the nicest guy in the world. As they say, that proverbial saying, nice guys finish last. And I think for Sarah, that's definitely going to be a part in her saying, to be honest with you. We meet a little bit more about Dean. He's an entertainer, but he's gone into the team building field. I do think he may have a hang up about his weight, because this is mentioned a lot by him. He looks at his mum and dad's relationship, and he wants what they have as they see their eternal love. As he says that, you know, as long as they've been together, they literally still hug, they literally still kiss each other, they literally still go on dates and stuff like that. And as I said, it's all good having a good role model in terms of what a good relationship and what a good marriage looks like, but it's damn hard work. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't just fall into your lap. His parents had to work at that, and maybe they were the type of parents that when they were struggling, they shielded him from that. So all he saw was good parts. So all he's going to have is rose tinted glasses when it comes to that relationship. That's why I'm saying you can't model yourself on your grandparents or your parents or any type of person's relationship, because you don't know what the fuck they've gone through, to be honest with you, to get to the point that they're at now. So then he says that he wished to get girls interested previously because he was 22 stone. He did lose all of the weight, but says within losing the weight he lost himself basically, so he's ended up gaining some of the weight back. And this is where he says he's begun to find himself and he's more confident about who he is. Like, I just kind of felt that his weight could be his comfort blanket at the end of the day. He's a good looking guy, I ain't gonna lie, he's a good looking guy, to be fair, and it remains to be seen if Sarah actually likes him or not when she sees him. He basically talks about the fact that he is a romantic person. He's a very hopeless romantic and wants the person he's with to feel like a queen. And to be fair, any woman with sense would want to feel like a queen by their significant other at the end of the day. He loves to make people feel loved, but says at times he does not get that back. And he does that because he over loves and over promotes them and over romanticizes them, because he doesn't want them to leave. Because he was always told that with the people that he does end up dating, he's always been punching basically, and he believes that he is enough. And I said, this is going to be a major issue with Dean, like a proper issue with Dean. He seems like a great person, but already he's a broken person, and these types of people don't make it very far on this show, like at all, as we've seen. So I'm hoping the experts made a good match when it came to Dean and Sarah. So the next match is Kia and David. So we meet Kia. He's a live wire, to be sure, a definite live wire. I like him already, I really do. So he talks about how his mum is the strongest person he knows, and in that he talks about the fact that his mum did lose a child, which was his older brother who had cerebral palsy, and the fact that he had nothing but good memories for his brother, but he's still working as he gets to adult stage, those emotions of not having his brother around. He talks about how he's been single for 7 years, but he was married before, and he said he needed time to grieve his divorce after that. Sometimes I do wonder with people who have already been married and come on this show, if they can look at a breakup of a marriage from both sides. Like, if the other person didn't do something especially heinous, rather than the other person was totally in the wrong and it was all their fault how the breakup ended. I wonder how he as a person can see his faults too in that relationship, because not everybody is perfect, and what he's willing to change in regards to that. So then we hear a little bit more. After I say that, we hear a little bit more. Kia was only 19, so still a baby in arms. He was a teenager when he got married, and I believe he does tell David, when he does explain it to him, that this guy was 29 stroke 30 years old. I don't know what a guy that age wants to do with a teenager at the end of the day, except for, you know, not nice things. So he says they were together for 7 years. This person was Kia's first relationship, so that plays into a lot of things, to be honest. And it sounds like Kia did not get that opportunity and that chance to explore his own world. He admits he had a very good life with him, in that he was shown the world and was given a good and lavish lifestyle. But as he said, money can't buy happiness at the end of the day. And he ended up with him being so miserable, because due to the age difference, it led to his husband beginning to cheat on Kia, basically, and them getting to a part where, as Kia got older, he started to grow away from the person that he was before. So now Kia is ready to find out who he is again and get his spark back, because at the end of the day, this man, it seems, dimmed his light. So he said he needs a husband who would be patient with him and calming. He recognises that he can be a lot and is not everyone's cup of tea. Reminds me of me, because I am definitely not everyone's cup of tea at all. So then we get to meet our French Portuguese man, David. So he was born in Portugal and raised in Paris, because he says that his mum is French and his dad is Portuguese. He is a flight attendant. So I do wonder how his work would meld in a marriage, because he will be out of the country more than he is in it, to be fair. So he recognises that his job is a lonely job, and he recognises that it is hard to date anyone while doing this job, so it has its downsides. He talks a bit more about his family dynamics. His mother, it seems, is the one who will speak to David on video calls. He says his dad was raised to be, like, you know, the man of the house. So when he first found out that David was gay, he didn't want to see him at all, and basically David ended up on the streets, homeless in Paris for a while. And he was only a teenager at the time. I just can't reconcile when parents do that to their children. I really can't. And I know David says, like, you know, him and his father are now speaking, and he really loves his father, but when he's speaking around this time, it's kind of like he's excusing his dad's behavior by saying, oh well, you know, he didn't know better, so now it's taking him time to rebuild that relationship with his dad. But my thing is if you're saying you're going to show your child unconditional love, as long as they haven't done any heinous shit which will put conditions on that love at the end of the day, then you should love your child unconditionally. If your child turns out to be gay, lesbian, transgender, all of the above, that should not put a minus sign on your conditions in terms of loving your child unconditionally, because they're still a part of you and you are a part of them at the end of the day. So that would mean when someone says to me, oh, I love my child unconditionally, no you don't. No you don't. If these are the reasons as to why you would not be able to accept them, you've already placed a condition on that love. He says that he loves his dad, but I would say his dad didn't love him enough to accept him when he needed it at the end of the day. He talks about his engagement a bit more, about the breakup and how it broke him, and basically he's obsessed with the idea that, like, it was going to work. And again, I would wonder if he's got help with the emotional impact in terms of the reality of what happened with the breakup of his engagement. I want to know if they understand, like, what it is to make a marriage work. Yeah, because a marriage is completely different to a relationship. A boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or a boyfriend-boyfriend relationship is completely different to that. So the experts share why they paired them, and sometimes I do wonder, like, if they romanticize it a little bit too much. So all we can do is wait to see what happens. So now we get to the wedding of Sarah and Dean. And again, Sarah is talking about how she has in mind a tall man with tattoos. And it was her friend that literally had to rein her ass back in and say, you need to be mindful that you may not get what it is that you want. Sarah says, oh yeah, I know, but does she really? Does she really? Because I don't think she really gets it at the end of the day. You see Jasmine, who is one of Sarah's friends, speak to the cameras and says that, you know, Sarah's type of man is usually the absolute worst. So again, I ask, will Sarah know the real from the fake? Like, seriously, because it's looking highly unlikely that she would look at Dean and like him. So I'm hoping that she would have been able to give him a chance. This match, I must say, from dead on set, does not fill me with any type of confidence at all. So Dean, on the flip side, is very excited to marry the person that he's going to be meeting. He is scared, like if she will like what he sees. I hope that Sarah could have seen past the outer and look more to the inner and understand why they were matched. But I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to happen. I really well and truly don't. Yeah. So for me, I tell people that I go for the personality over what a person looks like. The reason why I do that, it's about their energy and how they match and align with me in that sense. If it ain't there, then I ain't going for it, no matter what the frick you look like at the end of the day. So we see David and Kia getting ready for their wedding day. David seems very, very sad, and I think that's because his parents or his family are not there. So he says that he will call his mother before the wedding to talk to her so she can give him some sage sound advice. So Kia is talking about broaching the subject of him being married before on another day, as he says that the wedding day is about them. I would say I hope he does it sooner rather than later, because David is going to want to know a little bit about who Kia is and how he works and how he operates at the end of the day, especially when it's coming to building up trust. He's going to need to know these things earlier, not sit on it and wait. And if David does ask him about past relationships while they're at the wedding, what is he going to say? Ignore the question at the end of the day. So his friend does tell him, yes, you want the day to be between you, the two of you, but she thinks personally he should start off with honesty and let David know, like, he was married before, and what happened is at the end of the day it shaped Kia into who he is today, to be honest, and they can share in those experiences. As David went through something similar, albeit he was not married at the time. Kia says, like, it takes a lot for him to be vulnerable, but as he said, this is why he's here, to be loved and give love. So within that, he knows he has to show some vulnerability. We go back to Sarah and Dean's wedding, and we see her dad, Ian, see her for the first time, and he does get tearful. She does look gorgeous, ain't gonna lie. He says his daughter needs someone who is reliable and respectful and kind. But I'm like, will Sarah see that in Dean though? Will she give it a chance? Because it's not wrapped up in a package that she approves of. So her wish is for Dean to be a little of her norm, which will not work for her. As she's always and keeps saying, she is open-minded to this experiment, but I don't think she is. I don't think most of them are when they say that at the end of the day, because what they've put in their mind of what this person may look like is not what they see at the end of the aisle. So here it goes for Dean and Sarah. So Sarah's friends look at Dean and they straight away say, oh, he's not Sarah's type. And they will say that Sarah is about looks over everything at the end of the day. But I would say looks are not everything. So in comes Sarah. Their first meetings, they are quite cheery with each other on first looks. Dean starts to laugh nervously and they introduce each other. He is really liking her, but from the looks of it, from the outset, I could see that Sarah don't fancy Dean at all. But she would at least try, as she needs to see what past what Dean looks like. Even her vows sounded like she was reading from a script, and her friends were giving each other the looks. And you know what looks women give when they know there's something not right with their friend up there. They know that this girl don't like this man at all. Could be talking to a brick wall for all they know at the end of the day. I think these types are the worst ones, yeah, as Dean's going to work harder to make it work, I think, and will lose a part of himself each time trying to convince Sarah that he is the man for her, whereas Sarah is literally not at the level playing field, because she does not find this man attractive in the slightest. She don't like him. the dude did the rap. He did the rap, people. He did. He flabbergasted me because I was like, mate, no. I mean, it weren't too bad, but it was cringe. Let me just put it that way. So you hear Sarah speaking to the cameras and she's saying that for her, Dean is too over the top, especially when it came with the rap, and it's putting her off him. I mean, she was already put off before she even got down that freaking aisle to stand in front of him, to be honest with you. She didn't like the look of him. So it's safe to say, my people, that Sarah got the ick at her wedding. Dean gave her the ick. So I'm just like, they might as well give it up now. Like, seriously. You could tell that those that knew Sarah could see she was not impressed by this man at all. But she was presenting as smiling and as happy. And I think she used that falsity to not hurt Dean's feelings. But for these two, I think it will only go downhill from there, to be honest with you. I think Dean was trying to do too much to impress Sarah, and it's kind of backfired on him, but he's not realizing that it's backfired on him because he's not reading the cues of this woman at all. Dean specifically thought that Sarah loved his rap because she shouted out the key words when she said, when I say Dean, marriage, Dean, and you know, I was like, yeah, no, she may be smiling in your face, dude, but she does not like this at all. He was not looking deeper into the expressions of this girl's face because you could see uncomfortability written all over it, yeah? Poor boy. All I'm gonna say is poor boy, because Sarah's body was in that room, but her spirit had already left. Let me put it that way. Her spirit had ran already. She was a runaway bride. Her spirit had gone. Yeah, Sarah didn't want to kiss him, so Dean basically said, can I kiss your cheek? So she gave him that. Dean honestly believes that Sarah has passed the vibe check, but he is only seeing surface level of Sarah, not looking more at her, especially as her eyes and her face are saying all she needs to. And that just from watching her, just from me watching her, she may be smiling in this man's face, but you could tell she didn't like him. Dean is going to feel blindsided when he finds out she didn't like him from the offset. But because she was all smiles and joining in with his tomfoolery, he took it as a sign that she liked him the way he liked her. Yeah, no. I mean, her look of disgust said it all when she was talking to the cameras, and she said, yeah, he doesn't want to make me rip his clothes off at all. Oh, Lord. And it starts. So we go to David and Kia's wedding. Kia's mom did talk to him like about the time she was not supportive when he first get married because she believed that he was too young, but she sees the differences in him now and she will support him with this. I like his mother. I like Kia's mother a lot. And you see David trying to call his mother, but nobody's answering. So he then tries to call his brother, and again, no one answers. So then you get a knock at the door. And it's his mother and brother came in person. And oh my God, it did make me cry. It really did. Because she was like, I'm going to surprise this boy come hell or high water, because I am not going to let him miss out on his big day. So I will give thanks to the producers, because, you know, hopefully that I believe that they probably supported them in order to get over there to see her son get married and then be able to go back to France, because I know they couldn't afford it before, because that's what David had said. I like his mum too. Like, they both, Kia's and David's mum, both gave good advice to their sons. So when David went down the aisle, he literally gave Kia's mum flowers, and she was so taken with him. And you see Kia coming in, and I ain't gonna lie, you could see the sparks coming off them straight away, and they seem to like each other a lot. Kia fancies David, and he was talking about David's smile, and yes, David has a good damn smile on him, let's put it that way. So Kia was getting very nervous, and what happened was they ended up standing at the altar dancing it off with each other. And this is why I say you need to find someone that matches your energy. You really do. You need to find someone that vibes with you in that way. So they did make me smile, ain't gonna lie. I just hope it stays this way for them. Yeah, I really, really do. But I know probably trials and tribulations are gonna come their way pretty early. And I did do a full-on kiss. Their wedding was great. Like, literally, they were connecting with each other. So we go back to Dean and Sarah's wedding, and it comes for the pictures. My God, she couldn't look more uncomfortable if she tried. And Dean is absolutely oblivious because he's on his own high, thinking Sarah wants him and he's on his wavelength and she's not. When he gets to realise that this girl does not like him, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster for him. But I don't think on the flip side as well that Sarah is giving him a chance at all, because all this woman wanted, was the tall, tattooed man that looked like he'd been doing life. That's what she wanted, when she knows that type does not work for her in the slightest. So this woman had the audacity to ask him, like, so what do you do? And then said to him, well, do you go to the gym? He said, yeah, he goes to the gym. She goes, well, have you got any tattoos? He said, no. That set her right off, because he was like, well, do you like tattoos? And she was like, yeah. I thought she was supposed to be getting away from her type, but all she can talk about is her type. So he talks about how he's a romantic. She's not a romantic. But then she's firing all these questions at this man. It's quite awkward, because this is where they're supposed to be taking photos and feeling comfortable with each other. But the more that Dean speaks, the more that Sarah is literally creeping away from this man. Let me just put it this way. So he talks about, like, he likes to do his raps. She says, as long as you don't do that every day. And I will be saying, as long as you don't do that at all, because there's a time and a place for that. And he talks about that he likes writing love poems. And she said, straight off the bat, please don't write me a love poem. I was like, this is getting more and more awkward as time goes on for them. And I have a sneaking suspicion that right now Dean is not picking up what Sarah is putting down. I mean, you can tell a mile off this girl is not interested in him. Her behaviour is completely showing it. But I don't think Dean's very good at reading cues at all. All he is he's on this emotional high. He is very much into her, but not necessarily reading the room that she's not that into him at the end of the day. Dean thinks that, the reason why Sarah is like this is because she's not been romanced the right way. So he wants to show her what romance is. I would say for Sarah, she literally needs to tell Dean where she's at, where her headspace is at, to literally tamper him down a little bit, because it's not fair that she's still riding with him and, like, doing the whole smile like as everything's okay when it's not, and he's reading into that, and she can see he's reading into that, but she's not willing to tell him the truth right now. She keeps saying, like, Dean is lovely and she can see why the experts match them, but she's more thinking that this is more of a friend vibe and not a romantic one. And so she's not giving him a chance off the bat. She doesn't really know whether this can grow into something more, but as she said, she ain't come on this show to be someone's friend. But what she also has to realise is that them two are strangers. So the friendship bow, if you don't have the straight sexual chemistry there, is where you're going to start off from, because a solid foundation can be built by just being friends first. So we go back to David and Kia. And they're getting to know each other, and you can see the attraction, like the vibes coming from both of them. So he is literally going to tell David that, about the divorce, but he wants to wait for the right moment. Kia gets to meet David and his mother, and then we go back to Dean and Sarah's wedding, and it's got worse. It's got worse. Her friends have basically said, are you happy to, when they're at the dinner table? And Sarah don't have to say anything because the friends picked up what she was putting down. She's still complaining that Dean has no tattoos. And I thought, mate, did you come here to marry a tattoo or a dude? Because it's getting long now at the end of the day. She says there isn't that initial spark between them. I thought, mate, speak for yourself, because Dean is hella attracted to Sarah. So it's just from her perspective that there isn't that attraction between them. It's from her side at the end of the day. So I would strongly be saying that at this stage, when this happens, a person has to decide whether they're going to stay and leave and make a go of it through this experiment. But if they decide to stay and make a go of it through this experiment, then they've really got to work at it, because some of them just do it out of not wanting to hurt the other person, but then make things 10 times worse. So her friends, you can see, and trying to big up Dean basically, and they keep telling her that, your usual type is always quite toxic and they're not good for her. But like, Sarah's not listening to that at all. Dean is not her type. She wanted her type, which don't work for her. So Sarah tells Dean her usual type. She doesn't sugarcoat it. She just basically says, I like a walking red flag, and they usually look like they come out of jail. Dean's face was an absolute picture, because he knows he's so far from what Sarah described. If Sarah says, if Sarah stays, I said, she will see Joe and she will want him, because Joe is tall and tattooed up like no one's business, and that's the type of man that she wants. Dean made the fatal error of joking that he is like a mommy's boy. Sarah's whole face was like, the fuck you say? yeah. This was not going to go well. There's no going back from this point onwards. They may as well call it a day now, is what I'm saying. So all I'm going to say is Dean needs to leave Mike alone, because I'm like, Dean, did you not see Sarah's face when this mic started to make its way to you? Did he not hear the words that came out of this girl's mouth when they were taking pictures? She doesn't like surprises. She doesn't want to rap every day, or maybe never, and she definitely didn't want a writing poem. Nah, at this stage I do feel it for Sarah, because at this point I thought, Dean, you're doing too damn much at this point, man. Your boy should have put a stop to that shit. Really should have put a stop to that shit. He wasn't really not reading her at all, because her whole face was saying, please don't do this. She said to him basically that she was not a romantic person at all, and then he does this, and I'm going to have to say it was absolute cringe. He was doing too much too soon. Dean is fully locked in with Sarah, and Sarah's not in it at all at this stage. He's truly given her the ick, and that's not a good sign, because you can never come back from an ick at the end of the day. So then we end up going back to David and Kia's wedding. Kia's mum would really like it to last for them, because Kia's mum and David are having a conversation. She does tell him that, you know, Kia does have a lot of insecurity, and she does speak about the other side of Kia as well. But David will have to, you know, be able to get to a point of knowing him fully, and hope that when he does, he will love Kia all the more for it. But then also Kia needs to recognize that David in order for him to have that emotional connection with someone, he needs the intellectual stimulation as well. He needs someone to be open, to want to be vulnerable, to want to be deep. He wants to get to know you inside out. Basically, that's where David is. So we go back to the ill-fated Sarah and Dean's wedding. Sarah's dad basically says that he likes Dean to Sarah, and Sarah basically said that he's doing too much. I don't think Sarah can move past her type at the end of the day. Her dad is trying to get Sarah to listen to him and say, like, you know, don't judge it too early, go with the flow and enjoy it. But as she's saying that she's looking to find love, and the initial attraction for Dean is not there for her, so she is not sure where she's at. For me, I would say it's not going to happen at all. Once you've got to that stage, we already know where it's going to be. It's not going to happen. So we go back to David and Kia before this episode ends. And David says he wants to know Kia. He wants to get past this whole persona that he gives out. So Kia does sit and tell him about what happened in regards to getting married. And as he's going through this, what I liked is Kia is getting more and more emotionally flustered, and he's saying I'm sorry when he couldn't get his words out. And David is sitting there listening. He's not judging, and when Kia falters, he touches him like under his face to calm him and gets him to take his time. And Kia got through it. David was able to calm him and got through it. So David responded in kind, and that's what happens if you show a hint of vulnerability, especially with a person that really likes you or you're digging them. They're going to respond in kind and show you a bit of vulnerability as well. So he told Kia about the fact that he was engaged for 2 years and what had happened in his relationship. So you could see that these two men were broken by what other people had done to them, who said that they loved them, but they've managed to find something special within each other right now, and I do hope to God that lasts for them and they continue on that trajectory. But that is where the episode ended, and I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades and those that are coming in, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do all the things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1K. Peace out.